like halfway through.
I couldn't even look at him.
Dog, screen. Yeah. Nothing ever goes to plan, but we professionals keep it going. And we made that shit work. Yo, nobody prepares you for the moment you're standing in the wings of a stage and you realize if something goes wrong right now, it ain't just embarrassing. It's their show, their moment in front of real people who paid real money. So yeah, I had to figure some things out. What's good, y'all? So real quick, before we get into it, I'm primarily a mix engineer and producer. That's my lane. We're kind of in a phase where a lot of the projects that I was working on finished and they're about to drop. Like my album, Utopia, dropped. Lil Kiki's Streets is My Witness album, and we did a double album. So he has a second volume of Streets is My Witness dropping in April. Paul Wall's about to go on tour for the Fortune and Glory album, which I mixed that one, produced some records on there. And then Paul and Kiki also got a Slab Talk 2 album come out that I produced on, mixed the whole thing. So it's like one of them things where it's like a big turnover. A lot of the project's done. So now it's kind of getting into doing some of the live show stuff. My boy Century, of course, you know, I've been mixing their music for a minute. So we got our first #1 last year on the R&B radio airplay with the Only Human record that I recorded, mixed and mastered. So today we're at the band Barracks. You know what I'm saying? This is it's about 10 minutes south of downtown Houston. It's just got some rehearsal rooms we're about to set up in a little bit.
All right, cool. So we got the pre-intro, then we got the intro, and then that's when we come out, and then we run that song, and then after that song, it's Can't Get Enough. And after that, then it go into Forever.
So right when Forever ends and they're like changing out the stage, are you talking immediately or they're gonna have like a DJ or something?
No, they got a DJ.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, they done broke the stage down.
Houston, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna take this thing back a little bit, Houston. You know what?
All right, so let me walk y'all through what's exactly in this rack and why everything in here has a reason for being there. So, yeah, like I said, I haven't opened this playback rig in some months. I think it was last summer, maybe, since the last time I actually used it. Got the SKB Studio Flyer case. These are really dope because this will pop off. You can run cables through the top. These pop off. Get the PlayAudio 1U in there by iConnectivity. And then we can also take the back off so the cables for the XLR will show. Got the power cable here. Put my laptop right here. So it's gonna be like this. I'll probably put a power conditioner in here just so I have all the power going to my rig. I can plug my laptop in. I'm gonna have 2 laptops, so it's gonna be a redundant playback setup. And honestly, redundancy is what separates the pros from the amateurs. The PlayAudio 1U is a dedicated audio interface built specifically for live playback. And let me tell you, having redundancy is a huge, huge thing. So what's cool about this interface, if you take a look at it, I don't have both laptops hooked up, but basically you can connect 2 computers to one interface. And if one of them happens to get unplugged or crash or the session stops or something like that, it will automatically switch over to the second computer. So that's what we call a redundant playback setup. And it's pretty standard because that's the worst thing that could happen is you're running a show and all of a sudden Pro Tools crashes or Ableton crashes or somebody kicks a wire, something comes unplugged, you know, not good at all. Especially you're doing a long, hour and a half long set and you gotta find where were you, where did it stop, what got unplugged. But this way, we're trying to minimize any kind of accidents or something like that happening. So our set is only, I think it's about 25 minutes and it's kind of split into 2 segments. So I don't see myself having any issues. I've never had a computer stop on me during a live show, but you know, you can never be too careful. You don't need it until you need it. So we are prepared for it. This interface, I think it ran me about 12 or 1300 bucks, which is pretty crazy because it has 12 outputs, no inputs. So if it isn't for playback, this interface is kind of useless to me because I can't record nothing on it. But at one time I was gonna use it to do Atmos mixing with because I needed 12 outputs. And this has a volume button on the front, so I could actually use this to do Dolby Atmos mixing with as well. I never really got to customize this rig how I wanted to do it with a custom panel in the back to kind of make everything easy access. I was almost about to sell this rig because playback is not my main thing that I do. I know how to do it. I have the knowledge, and I have, you know, the network of artists to be able to do it with. But when it comes to like doing rehearsals and going on the road and traveling a lot, I was like, is this something I really want to do for the long term? And I chose probably not, because I'm a studio engineer, I'm a producer, I'm a mix engineer. But my boys went #1. Right now we got another record in the top 10 called Forever. It's #7 right now on R&B radio play. So I'm like, if I'm gonna do it with somebody, these guys are solid, they're really talented, so I'm gonna jump in with them and do this. Yeah, so there's no universal playback rig. Every gig is different. This right here is the part that generally humbled me. To use AbleSet's remote control feature, your computers have to be networked together. So yeah, AbleSet is basically a setlist manager that sits on top of Ableton. I can see my entire show laid out, song by song. So, see how big or how small this thing is. Cool, it's pretty small. Very simple. Got the power. It has 5 ports, and it's the power for it right here. Very small footprint, which is dope. And I guess my plan is to somehow mount it with Velcro right there.
For dinner, honey.
Or, honey, I'm filming. Or over here, or maybe just put Velcro on it, and then this will be up here at the top.
What?
You gonna be a playback engineer one day?
I'm gonna be electrical, not playback.
Bruh.
Maybe, I don't know.
And then Showtime hit. Everything we built, the rig, the redundancy, the network, and the visuals, it all just worked.
Houston, how y'all doing out there? Y'all ready to have a good time tonight? Let's go.
So yeah, if a few things that I would change, now that I have the software element done, the redundancy, the AbleSet, I want to do all the rehearsals using AbleSet. I used it flawlessly. The loop function worked great, but I was just kind of winging it with Pro Tools and my regular interface during the rehearsals because it took me a while to build my first playback set. And shout out to Eric Downs and From Studio to Stage. I got a couple templates off each of their sites, and I ended up running with Eric Downs. It was just a little simpler for what I was doing. Yeah, it had markers in there. It had the different templates for the tempos, for time code. He gave a lot of audio files in his template, like for the cues. So yeah, everything worked really good. I put the actual Ableton session together maybe 48 hours before the show, so I was real last minute about it, but that template was a huge help. Another thing that is kind of similar in both Eric and From Studio Stage, I think Will is his name. One thing that they have in common is they route their different stems to the auxiliary outs instead of every individual track going to a specific in or out. That way, if you need to adjust or change your outputs of the session, you can just change the outputs of the auxiliary tracks. You don't have to go track by track. Also, just changing the actual volume of the output, you can do it from the actual send tracks instead of doing it from within your session or having to do it in the your interface. When I actually got to the venue, I maxed out all the levels on my PlayAudio 1U, and it was hitting front of house a little too hot, so they asked me to turn everything down about 6 dBs, and then it was great after that. And look, if you're a mix engineer or producer who's also handling playback for your artist, I hope this was useful.